On episode 18 of He Said, She Said movie reviews, we take a look at the documentary Three Identical Strangers, directed by Tim Wardle, starring Eddy Galland, David Kellman, and Robert Shafran. Welcome to He Said, She Said movie reviews. This is the podcast where a happily married couple with similar but different movie tastes take a quick look at the movies, helping you make the right decision before your next movie. I'm your host, Tim.
And I'm April.
Three Identical Strangers will blow your mind. We'll tell you all about it right after these two trailers. The first trailer we saw was Monsters and Men, the aftermath of a police killing of a black man told through the eyes of the bystander who filmed the act, an African-American police officer and a high school baseball phenom inspired to take a stand. This is another Black Lives Matter movie. Looks really good, looks like it's hard to see, and the interesting part about this is it focuses around the black community, including the police officers. The second trailer we saw is Can You Forgive Me? When Lee Israel falls out of step with current tastes, she turns her art form to deception, an adaptation of the memoir Can You Ever Forgive Me? The true story of best-selling celebrity biographer Lee Israel. This stars Melissa McCarthy. Very excited to see this movie. I've been waiting for this for a long time. Not necessarily the movie, but I've been waiting to see Melissa McCarthy in a serious, dramatic role, and this is it.
Yes, that is absolutely one I want to see as well.
You'll have to forgive April for a bit. She's not feeling well this week, and she's got a little bit of a cold going on. Has lost her voice, so she'll try.
So bear with me.
So the movie we saw this week was Three Identical Strangers. It takes place in 1980 New York, where three young men who were adopted discover that they are triplets who were separated at birth. They describe their lives and what they discovered about why they were separated. This movie is directed by Tim Wardle, who did One Killer Punch, Lifers, Channel 3 Cutting Edge. It's starring the three triplets themselves, Eddy Galland, David Kellman, and Robert Shafran.
This was a phenomenal movie. I'm going to be limited today with my voice, so I'm not going to get to say much. I will tell you that it takes nature versus nurture to a new level. This was a documentary. It was probably one of the best I've ever seen. Mildly obsessed, too, with identical twins and also the good that we have in people and also the evil.
Yeah, for me, hats off to Tim Wardle, the director. I'm sure we're going to see him at least nominated for Best Documentary in February with the Academy Awards. This was a phenomenal movie. He could have told this story multiple different ways, but the way he chose to tell it to us, it keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's an emotional joyride. You start off with a big smile on your face with the two brothers discovering each other, then the third getting involved. And then he just
takes you on a story. We have to be careful because I don't want to do any spoilers in this movie. But it was absolutely phenomenal. At the end, not only is it something you're going to leave and think about for many, many hours, but I really left wanting more.
Yeah, for me, I was up all night long thinking about this movie. This is one of those movies that I'm going to be thinking about for days afterwards. And I'd like to sit down and discuss it with you at every finer point of the movie. So
absolutely.
You know, I thought what was interesting is I can remember I used to, in my younger days, watch a lot of like Phil Donahue. And one of the things I really liked about this movie is they used both reenactment and actual footage. And the Three Identical Twins, they were on the media all over the place when they were young, including Phil Donahue. And I even remember that interview on Phil Donahue. So I thought they did a really good job mixing in both the reenactment with actors and the documented film that they had about these brothers. So,
well, and obviously the theme and the tone, like I mentioned, there's good and there's evil. It's light and joyful to start. That's for sure.
And then it just takes a really dark turn. Being a documentary, there was some acting with the reenactment, but you didn't really get to see the acting, the reenactment stuff. But some of the interviews that they did during this, and once again, we're trying not to spoil this for you. You really have to go see this movie. But there were some really creepy interviews, and some of the people involved with the story really creeped me out, especially this little old lady who lives in La Jolla, California, who was involved with the triplets when they were younger. She kept on having the weirdest, creepy little smiles when she was telling her story that just, it really adds to the whole movie and the suspense.
Yeah, there were a couple people smiling when, in my opinion, they shouldn't have been. That's always interesting, but I guess we got that because it is a documentary. There's no changing someone's story when they're right in front of you.
No, absolutely. And it surprised me that some people were actually willing to talk about their parts in this story. So
right. And I thought the score was good. I thought they used music where it was appropriate. And it just, I don't know. I like you. I loved the added true footage of the triplets. And one interesting thing is I had always heard this, but we got to actually see it about their restaurant too, that they later opened.
Yeah, the triplets at one point had a restaurant in New York called Triplets. So
that was interesting. But I wanted to mention that it just, again, some heavy subjects, but so worth it.
Yeah, you really have to go see this movie in the theater. It's really hard for us to give you a review on this without spoiling the movie. And we definitely don't want to spoil the movie because you'll be sitting there at one point in the theater, your jaw will be in your lap and you'll be saying, WTF?
Right. Absolutely. And I think that the pace of the movie was incredible. It built up like a rolling snowball. And I think that is credit to everyone, not just the director, but everyone that was a part of this. It was done so well.
Yeah, one of the other things I want to mention too were there weren't actors per se in this. Well, there were with the reenactment, but the brothers spent so much time in their younger years, in their 20s, in front of the media and everything. So they were very comfortable in front of the camera telling their story during the interview sections in the movie. And I thought the interviews were really good. And I also liked how the tone that was set in the movie, as I said earlier, it was very joyful in the beginning. And it got darker and darker as the movie went on. And even the places where the interviews were conducted got darker and darker to help add to the mood of what was happening. So,
but I just want to say I thoroughly support this movie. I thought it was really good. And I also left there. And it's always nice when you get to celebrate the fact that families are made all kinds of ways. That's very important. And of course, Tim and I both have had experience with adoption, and we just think it's the neatest thing in the world.
Yeah, we totally support adoption. It's a fantastic thing. So bottom line, April, how are you going to rate this movie?
I'm going to rate this movie as a 4. I mean, I think it was really, really good. I don't know. I think that if there was any areas of improvement, it probably would have been more focus on people within each one of their families for me.
For me, I'm going to go ahead and give this a 5. Yep, it's a 5 for me. As you all know, for me, the whole purpose of the movie is to be entertained, and I was thoroughly entertained. I never thought about anything else during the movie, and I haven't stopped thinking about the movie, and I'm sure I'll be thinking about this 5 days from now.
Absolutely, me as well. So I'm going to tell you to definitely go see this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have a chance, go see this movie. I know there's no superheroes in it. There's no gunfights. There's no explosions. There's no romances. But it's a must-see movie.
It is. And I think if your kids are old enough, very important. Like I said, 2 sides of the human spirit. And that's what this movie definitely shows.
Thank you so much for listening to us. If you haven't already, please go out to our website, hesaidshesAidmovies.com/subscribe and subscribe to the podcast. I have to tell you now that Google has finally made a native podcast application for Android users. And if you go out to that website and you'll see a red button and it'll allow you to subscribe now on your Android phone so you'll never miss another podcast.
Thank you so much, y'all, for your support. We've begun getting invited to film festivals, so we'll try to let you know a week out where we're going to be and when.
Thank you all so much, and we look forward to seeing you at the movies.
See you at the movies.